for a ruptured eardrum after he attended an extremely loud punk rock show. Elliot LeClaire says his band manager passed out earplugs, so he's not responsible for Mr. Plott's injury.
All right, Mr. Plott, you are suing Mr. LeClaire for $955 in medical bills because, according to you, his music tore your eardrums.
Correct.
All right, tell me where you were and what happened.
It was like a venue. It was called The Basement. My friends were performing. They're like an indie group called The Walkers, and they invited me out. I don't really go to concerts. I'm not huge like a music guy, and especially not rock. But they invited me out, and he was performing before my friends were performing, so I was there. And the moment he started performing, it was like maybe like 10, 15 seconds. It was all right. But then it just started blasting music. Everything went crashing down.
What do you mean everything went crashing down?
Well, they were going crazy with their guitars and their music. Like, the people started jumping. So it was just a lot for me. And I hear a pop in my right ear. And I was like, what is going on? I started hearing a ringing. It was stinging. I felt pain. And so I went back doors because I was like, I need to figure out what's going on with my ear.
Okay, and what was going on with your ear?
Basically, I felt like it was kind of like wet. It was like a liquid, and I looked at my finger, and it was blood. So actually, my ear popped open. It busted open my eardrum. I started leaking a little bit of blood. It wasn't too much, but it was enough to be like worried about it.
Could you hear?
I could still hear, but it was very like, this ear was very affected a lot. It was like a big, huge ringing sound, if you've ever had that before. It was horrible.
All right, and how loud was the music?
The music was so loud. I mean, it was like, I have actually footage. I have a screenshot from my smartwatch where it shows...
Can I see it?
Yeah, if you might present.
Which shows what?
It shows that the music was at 145 decibels, which equals up to the sound of fireworks or even standing next to a fighter jet departing.
My Apple Watch, when I get together with my friends, often sends me a message that it's dangerous to stay in this noisy environment because we all talk really loud. So what do? Do you go to the hospital? Or do you go to the doctor?
Yeah, I went to urgent care the next day because obviously I couldn't go the same day. It was late and I still stayed with my friends. I just bared with the pain. I went to urgent care. My doctor told me that I have a tear in my eardrum and that's what caused the bleeding and the pain. He told me to wait a couple of days or up to a week to see it should heal by itself. It did not heal by itself. I was dizzy every day. I could not sleep. I was in pain. I was tired. I went back after a week and he told me I needed surgery.
And so explain the surgery.
Basically, the surgery was that they had to go deep inside there and put certain medication into my ear and some things that I don't know about a lot. I was just on anesthesia, but that cost me a lot of money.
It was outpatient, right?
It was, yeah. And I thankfully have insurance, but insurance didn't cover most of it.
So all you're suing for is that you're out of pocket?
Correct, my out-of-pocket money.
All right, and so do you ever communicate with him or try to...
Yes, I did text him. I reached out to the venue to get his number, anyone from the band, specifically him. And they gave me his number, and he basically just shut me off and told me to back off, I guess. You know?
Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. LeClaire. What kind of music do you guys play?
We're a punk rock band, Your Honor. Like, unfortunately, like, this guy is decided to make me waste my time coming here. I'd rather be somewhere else than in the courtroom.
Most people feel that way.
Yeah. So, go figure. He's in a rock concert. And second, we're called the Raging Wailers.
You're called the Raging Wailers?
The Raging Wailers. So, you don't need to be brain dead to understand that Raging Wailers sounds like they're going to be loud. And we're not a mom rock band. We play rock.
As a mom, I resent that implication. But here's the thing. The music starts, and then tell me what happens at one point. Like after a few seconds of the music, then what happens?
Well, the show went on like normally. Like we always play.
Is there he describes it as you guys banging on your instruments like on purpose for shock value. Is that accurate?
Like, we're meant to be loud and like we're a rock band, you know, like want to move some air.
Right, but not all rock bands shatter eardrums.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
Now, your response to his suggestion that there should have been some kind of warning is what?
Well, I'm not just going to grab the microphone and be like, sorry to disturb you, we're going to be kind of loud tonight.
And later.
So I'm being blamed for the hole, but I really believe that that cockroach came out of that hole. That hole
Yeah, but
was
what evidence
already
do you
there.
have to...
With Judge Millian. We're back with the case of James Plott, who blames musician Elliot LeClaire for a busted eardrum.
According to both of you, there was someone handing out earplugs. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. Well, since this venue didn't have a soundman that day for the event, we had to come in earlier that day to do the sound check. And after the sound check, all the other bands agreed that it was all fine. Nobody complained. So, and when it was time to play, well, my girlfriend, which happened to be my band manager, went out in the audience passing out earplugs because we're that nice.
Okay, why? But right. So why does your girlfriend pass out earplugs?
Because we're nice.
No, but everybody came for a rock concert, and not a mom rock concert, a real one, so they want to hear you. So why are you passing out earplugs?
Because we just figured that it would be nice. we offered the opportunity
because
to wear
you know
ear
that
protection.
you're going to be playing it at really dangerous...
Dangerous? I mean, I don't have any device to record the sound level, but ordinarily, we
Do
don't
you
burst
guys
ears
on stage wear earplugs?
I personally never wear earplugs.
Okay.
But this guy, I think, happened just to be an accident. Who knows? It could have happened to him before the concert or something.
But it didn't. His testimony is it happened at the concert, and he immediately leaves and goes to a doctor the next day. So the question is, do you have, is that, hey, too bad for you because it's a rock concert, like you're saying? Or the question is, does California law require you to have some kind of warning? Now, your response to his suggestion that there should have been some kind of warning is what?
Yeah, but we're a punk rock band where I'm not just going to grab the microphone and be like, sorry, everyone, but sorry to disturb you. We're going to be kind of loud tonight.
Right.
No,
you feel like that ruins the vibe.
I don't want to break that character. That's not who we are on stage.
Okay.
We project this personality.
Right. Los Angeles County Code requires that if you're operating or playing or permitting the operation or playing of any noise, radio, television, musical instrument, etc., sound amplifier, at a level higher than 95, okay, you can't do that unless there is a conspicuous and legible sign located outside that says warning, sound levels may cause hearing impairment. It's like the cigarettes, you have to have a warning. All of a sudden, the law decides you have to have a warning. So Los Angeles has decided you have to have a warning. You think it's lame to warn verbally. Well, they don't even want you to warn verbally. Do you think it's lame to have warning sound levels may cause hearing impairment? Because I think that some punk rockers might find that actually really appealing.
I mean,
or is that just my mom taste? In other words, it sounds like the law makes you have a disclaimer before you start playing it.
I feel bad for his injury, but I don't want to be held responsible for his medical bill because, I don't have an instrument on my amplifier that tells me how many decibels that come out of my amplifier.
No, but apparently the law requires you to know. And when you hit the 95 mark, the law requires you to have warned. So it's kind of, I do think you know how loud it is. I think that's part of the shtick. Right?
Yeah, but
that's part of the shtick because you've got a band manager walking around handing people earplugs. So it's obvious that it's part of your shtick to play it at dangerously high volumes, or you wouldn't be handing out earplugs.
But I'm not a sound engineer, and I'm not a doctor.
Stop a second. Stop and listen to me. The question is, do you have any legal responsibility for it? And I hear exactly what you're saying. You're at a rock concert. If it doesn't work for you, walk outside or take the earplugs. I hear what you're saying. However, You happen to be in Los Angeles where there happens to be a law about it.
Yeah,
and what the law says is that you can't do what you do without a warning. You don't like the idea of warning, oh, everybody, don't do it that way. I think it would be pretty, the word I want to use I can't use on television, but if you're trying to have this aura of totally, crazy punk rock, hardcore, maybe you should have a little sign with a warning that comes in front. Maybe that's how you can protect yourself.
I don't think so. I think the venue should be held responsible because if they didn't have their soundmen ready to work, I mean, like they should have postponed the
Except
concert.
for you knew there was no sound man.
Yeah, because like we're on point, like we're a serious band and we want to perform and...
Yes, but you knew there was no sound engineer there who was going to turn you down if you were too high.
Like, I'm not the one...
No, it's not a matter of whether it's your fault. I'm saying that was not a surprise. You knew that you were performing at a place with no sound engineer. Well, one would, if you're looking at me and saying, that's the job of the sound engineer. Well, if you agree to perform in a place with no sound engineer, then you know that that's your job now and not the sound engineers. I'm finding you responsible, and I'm going to order you to pay the $955.
All rise.
Judge Millian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $955.
I have a great victory, and karma always finds its way.
Oh, I mean, I don't care, like, losing or winning. Like, for me, I have a new tour coming up. It's going to be called Busted Eardrum Tour.
Okay.
Coming up.
I grabbed the shoe and I killed it. Smashed it right into the wall.
With what part of the shoe?
With the heel of the shoe.
Okay.
Closed Judge Millian. Taylor Knox claims she was falsely accused of damaging a wall at a bed and breakfast after she hit a bug with her shoe. Kathy Walker says she kept the plaintiff's deposit because the room was fine before Miss Knox stayed there.
Taylor, bed and breakfast. Talk to me.
Your Honor, I was in town for a book publishing convention. I went online, found her bed and breakfast, had great reviews, so I booked it. There was a $500 deposit required. So what happened was, the first day, after I opened the window, I saw a couple of bugs. Second day, saw a trail of ants in the bathroom. Thought nothing of it. These are just...
Did you mention it to her?
I didn't.
Okay. So none of this was really bothering you? This
didn't really bother me.
Yeah, okay.
Until Monday morning, I was preparing to leave and saw a cockroach on the wall. That was the thing that pushed me over the edge, that bothered me, and I grabbed the shoe and I killed it. Smashed it right into the wall.
With what part of the shoe?
With the heel of the shoe.
Okay. When you hit the wall, you hit it with the heel. Did you make the hole that ended up in the wall?
So I'm being blamed for the hole, but I really believe that cockroach came out of that hole. That hole was already there.
What evidence do you have to say that? Like, you never noticed a big hole in the wall before that.
Yeah.
And how big was the hole, by the way? Let me ask you, how big was the hole? Was the hole there before she checked in?
Your Honor, I had no reports of there being any holes in the wall.
Okay, how many rooms do you have in your bed and breakfast?
Coming up.
They had to use a 4x8 section of drywall to replace.
Did you ever see them do the job?
No, I didn't.
Right. I got news for you. You need to get another contractor.
People with Judge Millian. We're back with a dispute between Taylor Knox and B&B owner Kathy Walker over who is to blame for a hole in the wall.
We have 3.
And do you ever go in there? Are you the one who...
Yes.
Okay, so had you ever noticed a hole there before?
I never noticed a hole until after she left.
Okay, and now let's assume the hole is this big, like she says. Don't you think you would have noticed that, especially with bugs coming in, like you say?
Yeah, it was behind the lampshade. I didn't even notice the hole.
So you really have no idea if the hole was there. You're certainly not testifying that the hole was there.
Correct.
You just think there was a hole in the spot where you hit with your heel, because you know the hole was there after you hit it with your heel.
Right.
You know the hole was there once you hit the wall and panicked and hit the wall with the heel and not the front of the... I will take a slipper and I will bash the roach.
Right.
And I will not apologize to anyone who thinks I should have saved the roach and brought it outside. No, you saved the roach. And if you're not on speed dial on my phone, you can't be there in 2 seconds. I'm doing what I got to do. So my question to you is, how much did you pay to get that fixed? Because my understanding from your answer to the complaint is that you paid $500.
Your Honor, I'm not in the construction business, so I have people that are professional that come out to repair stuff. And they had to use a 4x8 section of drywall to replace.
Did you
that
ever see
little
them do
hole.
the job?
No, I didn't.
Right. I got news for you. You need to get another contractor. That is spackled to close. It's this big. It does not require replacing a piece of drywall, because my obligation here is not to make her pay you what someone charged you. It's to make her pay you the reasonable costs of a repair for the damage she did. That hole was created based on the part of her shoe that she decided to whack the wall with. And no, I don't think that that's on you. I think that's on the whacker. They should try not to break a wall over a cockroach.
Judge Million's verdict when justice for the people returns. Promotional consideration, Judge Million.
Literally, it would have taken me 1 second to do it, because you take the little jar of spackling, you cover it, and according to her, it's behind a lamp. It's not like you couldn't rent the room out. I think they took advantage of you because you were desperate and you really wanted to, and I think that they kind of took advantage of you. And my job is to figure out what the repair should have cost, not what it cost you. But my very strong advice to you, this is a handyman, not a, you don't need a license for this kind of work, but maybe you are hiring a contractor, and then that person's pocketing $400 and paying somebody $100 to spackle, because that's probably what happened. I am ruling in your favor as far as a security deposit is concerned, that you are able to keep some of it, but not the amount that you say. I'm going to assume this could be handled for about $150 is what I'm going to rule, and that means that I'm going to need you to return $350 of her security deposit back. Verdict, net judgment for you, verdict for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Judge Million has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $350. Julian Riley claims he was unable to give life-saving medication to his parrot after his sister locked him in her basement. Amelia Riley says her brother was drunk, violent, and needed to be temporarily confined.
Okay, Mr. Riley, you are suing your sister, Ms. Riley, for $5,400 because, according to you, her actions caused your bird to pass away. Tell me what happened here.
That's correct. So, Your Honor, on the night of Thanksgiving, I was over at my sister's house for a lovely evening, and I expressed to her in advance, I recently, within the past few years, purchased a parrot. I became very lonely.
What kind of parrot?
It was an African gray parrot.
Okay.
I have a picture of it right here, if you'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
I was very lonely.
Okay.
You know, not a lot going on at that time. My sister, my brothers, they all have lives. They all have families. And I, unfortunately, don't have anyone to share my time with. So I bought this parrot to basically have company, to be able to speak to somebody and them speak back to me. I could have gotten a dog, but the dog isn't going to talk back to me. It's not going to be, and with the hours that I work, I have no time. It was a low-maintenance pet.
So you'd had the African gray for how long?
About 3 years now.
How long do they live? My understanding is they live a really long time.
Yeah, they could live 30, 40 years from what I understand.
That's wild. Yeah. All right, so yours got sick. What was wrong with yours?
So he came down with a lung infection.
How did that happen? Do you know, or the vet?
They really don't know. It just could have been something in the air with the moisture. My sister invited me over for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We hadn't seen each other in some time, since about the 4th of July.
How come? Just life, or was
life, and honestly, I felt like my sister stopped inviting me to things. She would constantly post about. There was an incident during July 4th that she claims that I got a little bit out of hand.
Out of hand temper-wise, or out of hand
just out of
drinking,
hand,
or out of
having
hand
too much fun, I guess.
Meaning, what did she say? That you drank too much?
She said that I drank too much.
Okay.
We all were drinking, having a good time.
All right, so tell me about Thanksgiving.
So Thanksgiving, I expressed to her, hey, my parrot's sick, would you mind if I bring him with me? She expressed, no, it's going to be too loud, this and that. So I politely told her, hey, I still want to be a part of it. I'll come, but I have to leave at a certain time because my parrot is very sick. It needs its medication at a specific time every day, otherwise it could die. I went over, we were enjoying the night, everything was going fine. We had drinks and food and everything else, and then I expressed to her, okay, it's time that I need to go. So I picked up my keys, proceeded to the door, at which time she became very belligerent, started screaming at me that I'm not going anywhere, I'm too drunk, so I offered to take a ride share, again expressing that this is the reason that I need to get home because of my sick
What do you mean
parent.
you offered to take a ride share?
So she thought that I was too intoxicated to drive.
Right, and she has your keys.
She has my keys, so I said,
So
I will take...
problem solved, you're taking a ride share. Why didn't you just take the ride share?
Unfortunately, my house keys were on those keys.
Okay.
So I expressed to her that I just needed those keys from her. She took my keys then and threw them down the basement stairs. Who does that? Are you 5 years old?
And don't talk to her directly, so go on.
So I proceed down the basement stairs to get my keys, at which time I hear the door slam behind me. She had locked me in the basement.
Did you lock him in the basement?
Okay, Your Honor, firstly, it's not just a basement. He's making it sound like it's a dungeon. It's a guest suite. It's really very nice. Our mother has stayed there.
As kidnap locales go, this one's a good one?
Yes, excellent. This would be great digs. But in all seriousness, Your Honor, he was very drunk, and he was getting violent. And it wasn't just me. Cousins, our other brothers were there. His niece and nephew, my two children, were terrified. And the key incident, I didn't have his keys. The cousin was trying to hold him back. He was getting violent.
How was he getting violent? What does that mean? That's a conclusion. Tell me what he was doing.
Okay, they were shoving each other.
Who was him?
Cousin and one of our cousins.
Okay.
First cousin. And then our brother Levi almost got involved, and he was trying to hold them back. I did miss the initial start of that fight. I was putting away stuff in the dishes. This was after the dinner.
Thanksgiving, the source of so many cases.
Right.
Go ahead.
I know, we're very thankful. Yes, so he started, I came running, there was a whole commotion, and I see them holding him back. They say, here, I'm going to take the keys. So I took the keys, and I didn't know
Did he
what
ever mention taking a ride share?
No.
Did you ever mention it?
Yes, we said we'll send him home in a ride share, which
And what did he say?
He didn't want to.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
I don't think that anyone has a problem or should have a problem with you taking the keys from him so he doesn't kill himself. The problem is that you falsely imprison him, which is actually...
We're back with a case of Julian Riley, who blames his sister Amelia Riley for the demise of his parrot.
So he's making up when he says, I'll take a ride share.
Absolutely, and Your Honor, and now he's making up that his house keys were on there. We absolutely would have taken off the key and given it to him. That never got mentioned. Things got way out of hand.
What was he saying? I want my keys.
I want my keys. I want my keys. Sorry, Your Honor. He started screaming belligerently, swearing, saying all sorts of things that we were all against him. He was getting into background things that are inappropriate. And what happened with the keys is he tried to grab the keys from me, and I sort of knocked my hand, I threw them down.
I don't think that anyone has a problem or should have a problem with you taking the keys from him so he doesn't kill himself. The problem is that you lock him
and he
into
could have killed someone else.
Right. And then you falsely imprison him, which is actually a crime. You lock the door and don't let him out. It's not like you called him a ride share and said, your ride share is coming. I'll let you out. I don't care. You're not listening. You're not listening to me.
I will not take the ride share.
Hey, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, talking over me is not a good idea. I don't care what he wants. It's not as though you temporarily detained him down there and then said, I'm calling you a ride share. I understand you need to get to your sick parrot. As soon as the ride share comes, I'll let you out when you hand me the key. None of that stuff happened. You just locked him in there and said, sleep it off. And you knew he had a sick parrot that he needs to know. You may listen, because none of that is what you did. What you did was lock a guy in and not open up for hours.
Temporarily.
Yeah, I know, for hours.
No, it was an hour and a half, okay? Yeah. Which actually, and it wasn't just me. The cousin,
Where are they? Call your next witness.
They are
Call
working.
your next
Your
witness.
Honor, they're working.
Oh, okay.
They're working. We're
All right,
all
you got
working.
affidavits
I'm
from them?
surprised he
Anything?
showed
Do you
up
have
today.
anything?
He should sue me
Do
more
you
often
have
if it's getting him out of
anything
bed.
to prove that it wasn't just me? Because you keep saying that.
Listen, I have texts from him, and he knows this is not an isolated incident. It happened on July 4th.
What happened on July 4th?
It's not just July 4th, but on July 4th, there was an incident almost exactly the same. And
What happened on July 4th is my question.
Well, I had a July 4th party, a family party, and he came drunk, and then proceeded to drink more. He got very belligerent. He's a very, when some people drink, they can get happy.
How was
he's
he,
a very
again, belligerent
negative.
is a conclusion. Tell me the actions and things he was saying.
He picks fights.
Okay.
He starts to go bring up stuff from childhood with the brothers and the cousins, and they start sort of playfully, and then it turns into a fight. Physically, even. They turn into teenagers.
Was there a physical fight on July 4th?
Yes, there was. And
Okay.
he threw
Who
a
did he
chair.
have a physical fight with on July 4th?
Him, Julian, and our brother.
Okay, Julian is him, but
yes.
who was the other person? Which brother?
And Levi.
Levi. And is that accurate?
No, Your Honor, that is not accurate. at all.
Does your family think you have a drinking problem?
My sister believes I have a drinking problem.
Has anyone else in the family accused you of overdoing the
Yes.
alcohol?
My brother Levi has, mainly because...
And Sam.
I'm sorry. Am I directing my question to you?
Apologize.
Your Honor, if I may just explain.
Just answer my question. Does anybody else in the family think you have a drinking
My
problem?
brother Levi has mentioned it, but again, it's because she is in his ear.
Do you think you have a drinking
I do not.
See?
Do you think it's normal to be at family functions and end up locked up in a room and in fist fights and all the other stuff that happens in your family functions?
I do not, but I think she's misrepresenting actually what's going on. No one was ever in a fist fight. I don't know where she's getting that from.
She's making that up.
She's making that up.
I'm making that up.
And if I could go back to July 4th,
Yeah.
we were all drinking all day. I did not arrive there drunk. We started drinking in the morning. We drank till the end of the night. Did we have a lot to drink? Yeah, we all did. But it was spread out throughout the day.
Was there a fight?
No. Were we shooting some fireworks at each other? Yes. Did anybody get hurt? No.
Did anybody accuse you of drinking more than everybody else?
Yes.
My sister.
No, besides her, I mean.
And that day, no.
How about the next day?
No, not the next day either.
Okay.
At previous family functions, my brother Levi has said something, but I've seen them talking, and then he'll come and say something.
All right. So what happens when an hour and a half later you're let out? What happens?
I grabbed my keys, I grabbed my jacket, I stormed out of the house as fast as I could because I didn't know what she was going to do next.
Oh, yeah, I'm so
I
sorry.
raced home as fast as I could. But unfortunately, by the time I got there, the infection just spread a little too quick.
So you got home an hour and a half late to give your bird its medicine. You think that's what killed the bird and not the infection?
So I actually have a statement from his veterinarian stating that if the medication was not given at a specific time, exactly on the hour, that the infection could spread rapidly.
Well, that's true of every infection, but it was let me see what your vet wrote.
Your Honor, may
No, you may not.
Okay. Because I had the same...
And if you can, you know what, sit down, because apparently if you're standing there, you're just going to bark out things. Sit down. Sit down. I'll let you know when it's your turn. If Chucky missed a dosage of antibiotics, or if he didn't get them within a few hours of missing the dose, there would be a chance of illness or even death. Yeah, of course, because Chucky has an infection. I'm just trying to figure out, how you can possibly prove that the hour and a half delay is what killed. I'm sorry that you lost your African gray, and I know that you loved that pet as we love our pets. I'm having difficulty deducing that the hour and a half delay, however wrong it was to lock you in somewhere, however criminal that behavior is, there's no question that if you, in fact, had been drinking too much, you should. In fact, you don't need to be drunk as a skunk to not be driving. You understand that?
Yeah, sure.
Coming up.
No one wanted to ruin...
No, oh my God, even from the seat, she can't shut up. I will let you know when a question... No. It's tough for you that you can't just yell out when you want.
Closed caption. Huyen. We're back with a case of Julian Riley, who blames his sister Amelia Riley for the demise of his parrot.
Something here isn't gelling, because if you are offering to take a ride share, she should say, okay, that's a solution. And if she is offering for you to take a ride share, you should say, okay, that's a solution. So I don't think ride share came up. I don't know. But somehow there's not a sober mind, and with all the cousins and brothers and everybody else who says, let me call the ride share. You know, nobody comes up with that as the right solution. That's the right solution. I think that the emotional baggage between you guys is what was getting in the way.
No one wanted to ruin it.
Oh my God, even from the seat, she can't shut up. I will let you know when a question, no. It's tough for you that you can't just yell out when you want. Tough. See, this is a problem. You know what? Come up, because I want to talk to you. This is where the problem lies. You think you are in charge of everything. Your brother thinks that you are bossy beyond repair, that you are maternalistic to the point where you know best and whatever else. And you may know best. Certainly, if he is over drinking, you certainly know best. If you're taking the keys away from him when he shouldn't be driving, you certainly know best in that situation.
Coming up.
There is a lot of family history here that is going to be in the way of you folks having a relationship. You keep trying, but you keep failing.
Closed captioning provided by Justice for the People with Judge Millian. We're back with a case of Julian Riley, who blames his sister Amelia Riley for the demise of his parrot.
Let me explain something to you. There is a lot of family history here that is going to be in the way of you folks having a relationship. You keep trying, but you keep failing. And if you don't understand this, there is always going to be that problem. And I can tell that even in a situation where you should be a little bit intimidated and a little bit, you know, reserved and waiting your turn and waiting to be called upon, you can't control yourself. You know best. And that's not a great trait. And this is coming to you from someone who thinks she knows best all the time. So it's not that I don't understand the type A personality, but my God, you got to have a break. Pump the brakes somewhere, all right? I know you love your brother. I know that you felt like you were doing what was best for him. As it turns out, what you were doing was a criminal act. But as it also turns out, there is no way on God's green acres that you can prove to me that the reason your bird died was that hour and a half. You want her to pay you the cost of the bird because you say she killed the bird. She didn't kill the bird. She may have killed your self-esteem. She may have killed your feelings. The bird died not because she kept you an hour and a half. You couldn't, even the vet can't say that. The best the vet can say is that you know, when you take antibiotics, if you're a few hours late, that means death? No, it means, you know, it has to have time to grow in you to kill you. So I am telling you right now, as your vet, I am sure told you, because the best your vet would say for you is if they miss the dosage, then it would be ill, perhaps even death, if you don't give it to the bird within a few hours of the time they were supposed to. It was an hour and a half delay. So it wasn't more than a few hours, like the vet's saying.
Judge Millian's verdict when Justice for the People returns. Promotional consideration provided by Justice for the People with Judge Millian.
You cannot prove that her actions caused this, so I am not going to award you the $5,400 for the cost of the bird because I don't find that she caused this. Now, having said that, let me say something to you folks, because you guys keep trying and you guys keep failing. Do you love your sister?
Of course I do.
Do you love your brother?
Yes, and I was forced to help raise
and so,
him, Your
let me know.
Honor.
This is the part. It was just a yes or no question.
Okay.
And so, if it is true that you are drinking too much, then don't welcome him at your house. And you have to understand that that's when you've hit rock bottom, when people won't see you, okay? And you have to understand that maybe there's a lot more than meets the eye here. There's several siblings. He talks about how he talks about how you all have lives, and he doesn't. He talks about how you all have families, and he doesn't. There is emotional, familial baggage here that you guys might want a third party, a professional, to help you guys work through so that the next time you take a stab at having a relationship, it might be successful. Verdict for the defendant.
All rise.
Judge Millian has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
I I
hope
can't
you
believe you took
understand.
me to court.
I hope
Like-
you
like
understand what you've
seriously.
taken from me. I really hope you do.
You didn't hear.
Nancy White claimed she was blindsided by an unexpected proposal, which then cost her a chipped tooth. Patrick Lozano says he just wanted the moment to be special, but was misled when Miss White said he was the one.
Okay, Ms. White, you are here suing your former boyfriend?
Boyfriend.
Mr. Lozano, for $475 that you say he owes you because his gestures, however romantic, caused you to bust a tooth.
Break a tooth, yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
tell me what happened, my dear.
Well, Your Honor, we had been dating only 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3
And,
weeks.
How did you two meet?
We met on an app, on a dating app. It was the first time.
That's great. I find that to be very efficient. I've been married 30 years. I cannot believe the progress we've made in the dating sphere. And so you don't have to be embarrassed about that. All
Well,
right.
it was new for me.
Yeah.
And so this is about a year ago, and I put myself out there, put my picture, had to go through and deciding what information
Pictures
you
from
would
10
give.
years ago or pictures from now?
No, pictures from now. I used an inaccurate picture. Anyway, and I chose Patrick. It was the first gentleman that I had chose, and there was a connection.
Okay. And there is an age difference between you two.
A little bit.
What's the little bit? Wait, why are you looking at him? Is he better at math? You know what the age difference is.
Well, I mean, it's...
What's the age difference?
20 years now.
20 years. All right. And how old are you?
I'm 25.
25. It's just a wee thing. All right. I don't know whether to say shame on you or you go girl.
Right, you go girl.
Right,
It's like-
right.
right.
No, right. I know. It's. I mean, if you were a man and he was a woman, I'd say shame on you without a doubt. And but nobody else would. I would, or lots of people wouldn't. So who knows? Age is just numbers, right?
Just numbers.
Until it's not. And so now you're dating him for 3 weeks, and what happens?
We had been dating 3 weeks. We were having a ton of fun. The particular night and reason why I am suing and why I have a bill for $475 to replace and fix my front tooth is that Patrick is a pastry chef. Lovely. I don't cook. I don't want to cook. I love that he was a great cook. And he decides we're going to have a romantic dinner at my house because he lives with someone.
All right.
And so we are going to have a dinner at my house.
The detail of that isn't true, Your Honor.
What detail isn't true?
She actually invited me over. She was very...
Okay, either way. So you were doing the cooking, and it was at her house, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then what happens?
So it was a normal night. It was a 5-course meal. It went on and on.
Is that a normal night for you?
Well, I will...
just a second, because I've been missing out on more than apps.
Well,
if that's a normal night for you. Go ahead.
But I will tell you, I mean, he loves to cook, and he's a really good cook. And so this was our 4th or 5th time that he had cooked for me.
Okay.
Now, this night, he was sweating bullets. It was drawn out. And so it was a little different in that regard, right?
Did you ask him what's wrong? What's wrong?
Not really.
No. Okay, why not?
Not really.
Did you think you knew what was wrong?
No, not at
Okay.
all. I had no idea with what
Well,
was
he's
about to
sweating
happen.
bullets. If I'm on a date and the guy is sweating bullets,
Honestly,
I would like to know
maybe
if
he
he's
was
sick
having
or
some
something.
stomach issues. It was like
okay,
10 or
that's what I would think. I would think,
It was like-
maybe I shouldn't get too close to you.
Right, I was like, not sure. So it
Okay.
was like 10 or 15 minutes, he was gone, and I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on here. I get up to go and check on him, and as I'm walking to the front, I see a van pull up with a string quartet getting out playing music.
Where had you guys been eating? Where was the meal served?
In front of my house. I have a I have a lovely front
patio
in Toluca Lake.
Okay.
So, yeah, a front patio where we were eating.
So you see,
I'm getting up, and a van pulls up.
a string quartet pulls up.
They
And
get out playing music.
Right, and what are
Now,
they playing?
I've been proposed to 4 other times.
Wait, back up. What? What'd you say? You've been proposed to
I've been
4 other times?
Yes.
So this is a 5th person who proposes to you?
Yes, honestly, yes. Not as quickly as 3 weeks.
We all are going to bottle what you got, and we're going to market it, all right? So 5 times you've been proposed. So you got the impression when you saw the string quartet.
I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is going on here?
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm thinking he's sweating, he's nervous, he's been gone for 10 minutes. Why is there a string quartet in front of my house? That it's starting to walk towards me to serenade me. I walk back to the table. I take a big gulp of wine because I'm like, oh my goodness, right? And I take a
Lot
bite
of wine, Your
Hold on
Honor.
1 second. I'm going to give you the floor in a moment. I just want
I
to hear
take
what
a
you
bite
have.
of a cannoli because
He had served the cannolis already?
The cannoli is sitting in front of us. I take a sip of wine. I take a bite of the cannoli, and I crack my tooth.
What was wrong with the cannoli?
It had a ring in it, Your Honor.
It had a ring in it.
There was a ring in the cannoli.
In the cannoli.
Yes.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
We texted back and forth as the weeks went on. She told me things like I was the one, like she was head over heels in love with me, and that she wished more men were like me.
If you'll be in the... We're back with the case of Nancy White, who blames Patrick Lozano for a busted tooth.
So not only am
God bless you, darling.
3 weeks into dating this young man.
All right, stop. Okay, all right. Okay. So, in other words, you feel that the 25-year-old didn't have adequate judgment?
Well, possibly, yes.
Yeah? All of a sudden? All of a sudden. It sounds awful when I say it, right?
Right.
Do you have children?
A little different when you're saying
Do you have
it.
children?
I do.
How old are your children?
I have a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Okay. Did they know you were dating a 25-year-old? Just curious.
No, had not put that out there.
Yeah, well, it's out there now, girl. So, all right. Let me hear from you, Patrick. Talk to me. How is this relationship going? Where I applaud your romantic inclination, but how did you misread the tea leaves like this? Talk to me. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I was led on like a horse on a harness.
Maybe it's only 3 weeks.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
please
ma'am.
don't
it was,
ridicule him anymore. We've heard enough. Go
It
ahead.
was only 3 weeks, but this whole era of my life was very new. I got out of a very long...
Can't be that long. You're 25, but go ahead.
I got out of a kind of a traumatic relationship, and I was looking for something new, something more mature.
Wait, did you two meet on that kind of a site where it's cougarish?
I did.
Yes or no?
I did set the age range to what I was looking for.
And did you set like a ceiling that was much older than you? Like, I mean, the floor that was much older than you?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, so what was your range that you put in there?
I was looking 35 and up. I was looking for love, to be honest with you. I haven't been a part of the hookup culture. I was looking for something very real, and I didn't care what the age was. And to my surprise, I found this, what I thought, beautiful woman, and we started texting, but there wasn't a lot of text back and forth. She immediately asked if we could meet in person that night. And I was open to it. Like I said, I was out of a pretty bad relationship. I was ready to enter this.
How long had that relationship been?
About 4 years.
Okay, go on.
So we met in person. I took her to my favorite street taco place in downtown. We danced in the street to live music. And it was very romantic. We texted back and forth as the weeks went on. She told me things like I was the one, like she was head over heels in love with me, and that she wished more men were like me. I've never been told things like that in my life. That made me feel good. Relationship progressed. I felt very strongly about it, especially from the confirmation she gave me, telling me how important I was to her and how.
But don't you see the wisdom in maybe waiting a little bit?
I was struck, Your Honor. My grandparents are when I think of true love, I think of them. My grandpa proposed to my grandma in 7 days. I thought that was a cool love story. She gave me the wedding ring right before she died, and she told me to give it to a special woman.
The wedding ring that broke my front tooth.
Okay, can you just put a pause button on your mouth? That's a beautiful story. How long were your grandparents together?
They were together for 47 years.
That's beautiful. Now, it's also unusual, you know that, right?
Yes,
but
ma'am.
you're just an incurable romantic, and you thought this was the one. And but rather than discuss it, you thought you'd do a grand surprise gesture.
I did, I'm embarrassed by this because I was so confirmed in how I thought she felt about me. I kind of feel like it was more of a physical attraction at this point. I do have text to prove what she said and how fond she was.
I don't even want to see it, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm assuming she said, "I want to marry you." Makes no difference, okay? It makes a difference to you because you're embarrassed because things did not go well here. And, well, not only did she say no, which she has a right to say, and she's suing you. So it all went very, very poorly for you. And I understand that. And I love what a romantic you are. I think that's a wonderful trait. But you also have to temper that in your life with a little bit of, I don't want to say common sense because that's not right, with a little bit of skepticism is really, because it's not common sense. Love isn't common sense. I started dating my husband when I was 29, and in my culture, when you are 29 and you have not been married, your parents are like, you know, going to tea leaf readers and shell throwers to try to figure out what is, you know, when they're going to have grandkids and what. I met my husband and I knew immediately, and so did he. We knew immediately. We knew like a month in. But we didn't do anything about it a month in because we both understand that we're almost 30 and we need to get to know each other. And that's kind of, where the real life has to be tempered with the romance. But in any event, it's really not about that because you're welcome to feel and do and have all the grand gestures in your life you want to have. And one day there's going to be a woman that is going to think the world of it. And she is going to give her grandson the ring that you gave her, that your grandmother gave you. You see, that person's out there, and you got to find them. This woman wasn't it.
Coming up.
I've been down on one knee, asked her to marry me, and she said if she wasn't in so much pain, she would be laughing. She called me a little boy.
Closed captioning with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Nancy White, who blames Patrick Lozano for a busted tooth.
The reason that we're here is because of what happened as a result of your gesture. Because it isn't just that, you know, she didn't say yes, it's that she broke her tooth because you put the ring inside of the cannoli. What were you thinking? Talk to me. What did you think was going to happen? How does this end well, to put the ring in the cannoli? That's
a fair point, Your Honor. But to defend myself, I did tell her not to bite in the cannoli right that second. We were setting up. We ate dinner. I brought out the dessert. I was extremely nervous, kind of petrified. So I said, wait, don't eat the cannoli right now. I went inside. I was kind of cleaning myself up, like prepping myself. And that's when I got a notification from the string quartet that they were here. I quickly rushed outside, and she bit into the cannoli instantly. The string quartet was there. I bent down on one knee, asked her to marry me, and she said if she wasn't in so much pain, she would be laughing. She called me a little boy. She called me ridiculous. She belittled me. She actually compared me to her 15-year-old son that got rejected from asking a girl to go to homecoming.
Why are you so mean, Ms. White?
No,
seriously, because you chose to date a 25-year-old. You have a 15-year-old son. You chose to date a 25-year-old, and then you're not particular. I understand you want your money. You broke your tooth. I get all that, but you're just so gratuitously mean in the process about it, like laughing at him. He's right. You've been laughing at him since you walked in. You laughed at him on the spot. I mean, you just be nicer.
Well,
I can't legally enforce that. I just want you to be nicer.
I understand that, and I appreciate that, and that could have potentially happened had he paid me back.
Coming up.
The proposal's not dangerous. I mean, I think it's ill-advised, but it doesn't matter. It's not dangerous. But putting a ring inside of food that goes in someone's mouth, who knew it could break a tooth? Well, yeah.
Millian. We're back with the case of Nancy White, who blames Patrick Lozano for a busted tooth.
I tried to reach out to him the next day. I went to 3 different doctors. The cheapest doctor that I could find was $475. I spent 2 weeks waiting to get my front tooth fixed. I have a picture of my front tooth that, if you want to take a look, that, I mean, I had to walk around like that for 2 weeks, walking around missing the piece. I mean, it's not a good look, is it? Not to mention the pain I was in. And if he would have answered my call the next day, oh gosh, yes, okay.
Well,
yes.
it's your picture.
I know,
Okay,
I know.
all right.
But if he would have answered my call the next day, paid me back for me fixing
I know,
my
but
tooth,
I understand.
would
That's
maybe
why,
be in a
but that's what
different
court
place.
was made for. So you come to court, you sue, and all right. But do you have to you don't have to annihilate him in the process? You understand? Look, I think that's very sweet. You're very romantic. That was a dangerous thing to do.
Your Honor,
the quartet isn't dangerous. The proposal's not dangerous. I mean, I think it's ill-advised, but it doesn't matter. It's not dangerous. But putting a ring inside of food that goes in someone's mouth. Who knew it could break a tooth? Well, yeah. And your defense is to say, I told her don't start without me, but you served it. I hope the lesson that you take is maybe slow it down a little, but maybe not. Just don't put a ring in food that goes in someone's mouth, because they are likely to bust their tooth, especially if they're 45 and not 25. But it could happen to anybody. You understand? It's a dangerous thing, or she could swallow it and choke. Like, many bad things could happen. It is not a good idea. Dropping it in the champagne glass, never a good idea. That's another one that you see all the time.
Judge Million's verdict when justice for the people returns. Promotional consideration for the people with Judge Million.
The cannoli is a new one on me, but, you know, did you read that somewhere? Did you see it somewhere?
Creative insight.
Okay. All right. So let's try to channel our creativity in a way that is more productive to defending your heart, and don't put a ring in food for someone to bite into. And also, maybe don't give your heart to a woman you've known 3 weeks that may not deserve it.
I was fooled, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that I'd call that fooled. I think that just because someone tells you, wow, I can see you in my life long term, that doesn't necessarily mean you should be proposing in week 3. You know, sometimes, but none of that matters. Just don't put rings in food, okay? Verdict for the plaintiff, $475, and I wish you all of the luck and romance that the world has to give you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I was talking to him.
Rise.
Judge Million has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $475.
Be careful, ladies, what you bite into. And when you swipe left or right, be careful.
She broke my heart. I'm kind of okay.
Donate. We hope to see you there.
This has been a Fox 30 Action News Jax update. Local coverage you can count on.
How much were you paying her?
It was $11,000.
Okay, so you paid her $5,500.
Immediately for the deposit, yes.
And then she, in return for, this job pays well, in return for $11,000.
It's a great service.
You were going to do what? Film his wedding and provide him with what?
The content, the video content of the whole
edited
wedding. Edited videos, stills, interviews with the groom, him, well, not the groom anymore, but the fiance or the bride, their families, friends. It was just a lot of work, but it's very personal. So it's like a big price.
But it is a big price.
Yeah,
half the production.
Yeah, regardless.
Say that again?
There's a lot of work with half the production.
Regardless of
what do you
the
mean
price.
a lot of work? Stop a second. What do you mean a lot of work with half the production?
She took pictures of a wedding that didn't take place. So how do you take pictures?
Oh, okay, all right.
You know what I mean?
You pay, what happened though? So here you are. It's your big day. You're in a tux.
So yeah, she had just done an interview with me, telling me why I loved my former fiance Amy and reasons what we were looking forward to in the future. And I got a very important phone call. So I didn't think, and I just took it.
Please.
I took the phone call. I exited rather quickly as possible, and I took the phone call. So, and then little to my knowledge that I was mic'd from the interview, that I was overheard for the entire wedding to hear.
You mean everyone who was waiting there for the ceremony to begin?
Family, friends, my
How long was your phone call?
It was as brief as possible.
What is that? I don't know what that means. 1 minute, 20 minutes. What was it?
It was less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
And for 10 minutes, your people heard you on the phone?
Yes.
How does that happen?
It's a great question for a professional, right?
What happened in the situation where I was doing all the interviews with, as I was in the contract, to have
Right,
everyone...
but those interviews were never intended to be heard by the people who were inside waiting for the ceremony to begin.
Exactly.
They're not supposed to be hearing that.
Exactly, Your
So
Honor.
that's my question. How did that happen? As it turns out, it was really bad because you were talking to your side hustle, right?
It's not a side. It's not like a current
It was
side
someone
hustle.
who you were saying, I love you even though I'm marrying Amy.
It wasn't like
And
that.
Amy heard it. It wasn't like that? Tell me how it was. I don't want to get it wrong.
So she's a former ex. She was my first love. So she called it because she was telling me she was on the way to ruin my wedding.
Why?
Because
if she was your first love from a way long time ago and you weren't seeing her, why would she go ruin your wedding? Because you were seeing her.
I wasn't seeing her at that time. No, that time had gone.
Is that why you're on the
exactly how it
phone?
looks like? That's how it is.
You're
But
on
anyway,
the phone telling her that you
what
were
was
the
it?
only love.
I'm marveling at this. Did you hear the conversation?
I did, Your Honor.
And what was he saying?
He was basically saying on the phone to her that you were my only love. You were the one love. Even though I'm getting married, you're always going to be.
Stop a second.
You're always going to be mine. And like they talked, and it got her to a point where he calmed her down. It was almost like they were going to see each other afterwards.
Okay.
And
can I ask you a question though? Why are the guests hearing that?
Coming up on Justice for the People.
he was supposed to go directly to the altar, and then that was supposed to be heard.
Then if he like coughs, if he burps, that's also project. I'm not understanding. Excuse me. I have been doing this without you my whole life.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. Closed caption. This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
I'm trying to understand how that happened. Do you know?
Yes, in my defense, Your Honor, he was the last person to have those interviews when I said that I give everybody little interviews to put it into the content of the wedding videos. He was the last one that I was going to give the interview to. And so I mic'd him up, and we had a little talk. I asked him, what are your plans, you and Amy, in the future? What are you guys going to do for a year?
Please don't interrupt.
For a year from now, like, where do you guys see yourselves?
Yeah, blah,
and
blah,
so,
blah, blah, blah.
Yes,
How did it get projected to the entire room of invitees?
So he was mic'd up, and he was supposed to stay mic'd up because from that little interview that I had with him, he was supposed to go directly to the altar, and then that was supposed to be heard.
Yeah, but then if he like coughs, if he burps, that's also projected. I'm not understanding. Excuse me. I have been doing this without you my whole life.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead. I don't understand. Like, how is it that that mic is not turned off and then turned on again at the relevant time?
Because, for Your Honor, I'm new to my business as well. And the thing was, he was directly supposed to go from my little interview with him directly to the altar without speaking.
It doesn't matter.
And
If the wedding hasn't begun, then whatever he's saying is also going to be projected into that room. And what I don't understand is the minute that you hear that a private conversation is being projected, how do you not turn that off? Not why don't you turn off his mic? Why don't you turn off the speakers that are in there?
To be honest with you, Your Honor,
you didn't know how to.
I needed to contact.
You didn't know how to.
I needed to contact my team to do that as well because I have certain departments where they all work and do those things.
You did not know how to solve the crisis in that instant.
I was shocked just hearing him talk to that girl because I have virtues and I have.
The content of his conversation is a different story. He is mad because his voice was being projected to all that. As it turns out, he was up to no good. So he didn't want that to be projected. I am stuck on why was any voice projected and why couldn't it be stopped? What if he's in the bathroom and making bodily noises? I don't get how it is that you couldn't stop the problem. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at.
I think it just happened.
It's not that I think he deserves cover.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be in the front of every newspaper in America.
Right.
And all over the internet. Oh, excuse me, I'm dating myself. All over the internet. I just mean I don't understand how the technical difficulty could be so massive. No matter what ends up coming out of his mouth, which is all bad and I'm glad his bride saw it. In a separate room. I presume the marriage, from the way we're talking, did not go forward, right?
It did not.
Right.
But we were in a separate room, and so when it was overheard on the loudspeaker, I was not in the room with all the people, with all the guests listening. I was in a separate area with him doing the interview, and then he was supposed to go in his area and go straight to the altar and then go straight to the
So now
place
you
to get
didn't
married.
hear it broadcast?
Not until I didn't realize it till afterwards. So he goes into the room, and he's talking on the phone, and I'm just so in tune.
Do you feel like there was any...
I voided out everything.
I need you to listen to my question. Do you feel, as you stand here, even the slightest bit of embarrassment that your technical deficiency was heard throughout all of the guests? I mean, it's not your fault. If he was cheating on his bride, I'm glad he was exposed. So I do not want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, do you feel like this was your best moment professionally?
I wouldn't say maybe the best moment.
And yet you're counterclaiming because you want all of your fee, even though you didn't video anything. Well, I'm sorry, you videoed some interviews.
Yes.
But that got broadcast, and then his private conversations got broadcast throughout and then caused the debacle of his relationship.
Yes, and Your Honor, it's
well,
not...
he caused the debacle of his relationship.
I could not help the situation that he ruined his own wedding and destroyed the whole
No, I understand, but you could help whether you counterclaim an additional $5,500 when obviously a lot of the work didn't happen. You did not sit through the wedding, video the wedding. You didn't have to spend hundreds of hours editing it. You didn't have to, and yet you've come to court and you are counterclaiming against him to get the remaining money.
Well, ma'am, what happened is, Your Honor, excuse me, I did do a lot of work. So in the contract, it's 1,500 hours worth of work. And I have
how much work would you have done beforehand?
15
I'm sorry. If I have to tell you, I think you've done enough talking. I think you should listen a little more.
I've just been
Tell me what you did beforehand, because all of this work comes after the wedding and during the filming. So and during the editing, really. But tell me what you had done, quote, beforehand.
I had my team come. They had to take days off. I had to pay them. I had to get the equipment going. I spent so much time just setting up the angles, talking to all the guests, doing the private interviews. And as how I work along the way, I kind of edit as I go too. So it's like a lot of time I put in there for my team as well. And after...
Do you think anybody's going to hire you hearing that, you made such a fundamental mistake?
I just feel that he deterred from the plan of going to get married.
Well, I'm sorry, you're standing there, you're interviewing him. When he turns around to take a phone call, tell him, you're still mic'd.
Coming up.
Do you seriously think that if you had been in the bathroom, the wedding wouldn't have gone forward? You know it's the content of your conversation that made the wedding not go forward.
Closed captioning, Pro with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
I'm taking some responsibility for the fact that I should have been more in tune to what was going on with the phone call and his mic.
No. You get me wrong. I don't care about his... I don't care that he got caught. I'm glad you got caught. I don't care about it. I care that he is saying you breached the contract. You're supposed to be a professional and know what you're doing. Meanwhile, you let him walk off, and whether he's in the bathroom having intestinal infortitude, or whether he's having a conversation with his auntie, or whether he's having a conversation with his mistress, or whether he's having a conversation with his first love, it doesn't matter to me.
Your Honor,
he is saying this happened, and then I didn't get my money's worth. Now, you're saying, well, I didn't get my money's worth because the wedding didn't go forward. Do you seriously think that if you had been in the bathroom, the wedding wouldn't have gone forward? You know it's the content of your conversation that made the wedding not go forward.
That is correct, but it doesn't...
What did your bride-to-be say to you? How did you find out that this had happened?
I was returning to the ceremony, and we ran into each other, and she was in tears.
How do you run into each other when the ceremony hasn't begun and you're the groom and she's the bride? How did that happen?
Because she heard the
So she
phone call over the
so
PA.
she just ran into the church with all the guests there?
She left the ceremony.
I don't see how that's my
What the
fault.
ceremony wasn't happening. You two are the ceremony. So the ceremony has not begun, folks. So she didn't leave the ceremony. Where did she go? And I'm trying to understand to see how this develops.
Coming up.
And anyone's first love, there's always still a connection there.
Why are you even
I'm
talking
sure.
to her on your wedding day?
She called me, and as
Why
I
are
was
you
trying
answering the phone, running out to answer the phone when you've just been interviewed about your love for Amy?
Closed captioning provided by Huyen. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
All right, so what does she do? She runs into the room where the ceremony was gonna be?
No, we ran into each other like at a midpoint.
Okay.
I don't know what you would call a hallway.
And what did she say to you?
She said, "I can't believe you did this," and she
What
was
else?
crying. And
What else did she say? She
She's,
must have said
she's like,
something
"This is
more than
over," and I was begging her to not be and trying to explain the situation.
Well, what did she think the situation was? What did she say?
She thought that I still had feelings for my ex, and I just was making it clear that anyone's first love, there's always still a connection there.
Why are you even
I'm
talking
sure.
to her on your wedding day?
She called me, and as
Why
I
are
was
you
trying
answering the phone, running out to answer the phone when you've just been interviewed about your love for Amy?
because she's already sending text
You're
messages.
supposed to be at the altar.
I
Why are you
understand that,
stopping
but
to
she
speak
was
to her?
sending threatening text messages.
Threatening text messages.
That she was going
Well,
to
how
ruin
long
the
has it
wedding.
been since you see this woman? Oh, you know which women write a threatening text message? The one whose house you were just at. Nobody from 10 years ago writes a threatening text
It
message.
wasn't 10 years ago, it was months ago.
And your fiance
Oh, I'm
wouldn't
sorry.
leave
Wait,
the
wait,
wedding.
wait, hold on. That's not just going to slide by. It was months ago, so you cheated on your wife
You
to be
said
months
when I
ago.
spoke with her. I didn't do anything with her. I spoke with her.
Is that why she left you at the wedding with the whole
She left me at the wedding because you were terrible at your
Can
job.
I just... No, she didn't. No, sweetheart. Don't be so stupid.
It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her
you mean-
negligence.
right. But for her incompetence, you wouldn't have been caught.
Caught trying to save my wedding?
Caught trying to save your wedding?
She said she was going to come and ruin
Had
the
that
wedding.
fly with your bride, because it's flying the same way with me.
Judge Million's verdict when justice for the people returns. Promotional consideration with Judge Million.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may interrupt, when you do videography and things, there's so much work, and all this videoing and filming and everything takes place like a lot when everybody shows up. The families, that's a lot of
You didn't
time
get the
and
family,
effort.
'cause the wedding
And
didn't
so,
start yet.
Let
That
me
happens
finish.
after the wedding.
I'm going to figure out what your work was worth that you put in beforehand. You can talk all you want, but my job is to see through this.
Your
Okay?
Honor, I have evidence.
Stop. I'm ordering you, on his lawsuit against you, I am ordering you to return a portion of the money that you were paid, $3,000 verdict for the plaintiff. On your lawsuit against him to collect $11,000, no, that's not going to happen. Most of that $11,000 you didn't end up having to do. The gall of you suing for an additional $5,500, so you would get your entire $11,000 that you were charging when you didn't have to do 90% of the work. No, that's not going to happen. On your counterclaim against him, $0. On his claim against you, $3,000.
Judge Million has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,000.
You're basically just broke our contract that we had, and I hope people can see that in the future, that not to do.
Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã quay lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau đi đến với bài tập trang số 54, sách giáo khoa lớp 1, tập 2, môn toán, quyển kết nối tri thức. Bài tập yêu cầu chúng ta đó là tìm số thích hợp theo mẫu. Ở đây chúng ta sẽ có gì nhỉ? Phép tính A đó là 35 trừ 2 bằng bao nhiêu? 35 trừ 2 chúng ta sẽ có thì 35 tách 2 ra đúng không nhỉ? 2 thì bằng 1 cộng 1. Ở đây chúng ta có 35 trừ 1 bằng 34. 34 trừ 1 bằng 33. Như vậy 35 trừ 2 sẽ bằng 33 các bạn nhé. Tương tự ý B, 18 trừ 3 bằng bao nhiêu? Chúng ta sẽ tách ra trừ 3, tức là trừ đi 3 lần 1 đúng không nào? 18 trừ đi 1 sẽ được 17. 17 trừ 1 được 16. 16 trừ 1 được 15. Như vậy 18 trừ 3 sẽ có kết quả cuối cùng là 15 nhé. Tiếp theo, phép tính C. 16 trừ 4 được bao nhiêu? Chúng ta cùng nhau thực hiện trừ từng lần lượt với lại một đơn vị nhé. 16 trừ 1 được 15, 15 trừ 1 được 14, 14 trừ 1 được 13, 13 trừ 1 sẽ được 12. Như vậy phép tính 16 trừ 4 sẽ có kết quả bằng 12. Phần 2, đúng hay sai? Ở đây chúng ta có 3, 4 thẻ số đúng không nào? Mỗi thẻ số sẽ có một phép tính. Các bạn sẽ cùng thực hiện để mình kiểm tra xem mỗi thẻ số này là đúng hay sai nhé. Ý A, 49 trừ 3, chúng ta lấy 9 trừ 3 bằng 6, hạ 4. Như vậy là đúng rồi. Kết quả bằng 46. Ý B, 88 trừ 5 bằng 73. Sai mất rồi đúng không nào? Bằng 83. Ý C, 35 trừ 2 bằng 15. Sai mất rồi. Số 2 phải viết dưới số 5 chứ. Kết quả sẽ bằng 33. Cuối cùng là ý D, 56 trừ 4 bằng 52. Chính xác. Vậy là các bạn đã cùng mình thực hiện xong toàn bộ phần bài tập trang số 54 rồi đúng không nào? Ngày mai thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau đi thực hiện bài tập trang số 55 các bạn nhé. Còn bây giờ thì xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong video ngày mai. Đừng quên ấn like và subscribe để ủng hộ